Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to be covering Tarn the Uncaring. He made his first appearance in Hellions, issue number 6, that was released in November of 2020. He's a powerful Omega-level mutant and Amenthi daemon hybrid, who additionally possesses powerful magic. Having an unspecified height and weight, although he is substantially built, while also having yellow or purple eyes when he's using his power, no hair, and gray skin. Tarn's unique abilities would put him in a position to be the genomic mage of the land of Arakko, which could be considered parallel to the position that Mister Sinister had as Krakoa's geneticist. And just like Sinister, Tarn is extremely capable, if not more so, actually considering himself a sort of god, who's honored and extremely feared by followers, despite him being an extremely sadistic leader. Tarn's powers include moderate superhuman strength and stamina, along with low-level superhuman durability. He's also primarily known for his ability to manipulate others' DNA, being able to take away or boost other mutants' powers, as well as give them completely new abilities, and reverse their age or disfigure them. His psychokinetic abilities can also manifest as telepathy and telekinesis, although when he reads people's minds, it causes them great pain, which of course he enjoys. And I can't forget that he can teleport others using magic. Now, from what we know, Tarn was one of the hybrids who was created from Annihilation's forced breeding project between the Amenthi daemons and the captured Arakko mutants. His significant powers were immediately recognized. He would use his abilities to mold the bodies and powers of other Amenthi mutants who pledged themselves to him, with this process actually killing many of them. However, the ones that did survive served him without question and began treating him as a deity. These loyal subjects would take on the name Locus Vile, and they, along with Tarn, would eventually become denizens of Arakko, after the Annihilation-controlled Genesis would force Arakko to submit to Amenthi forces. During this subsequent period, Tarn's infamy would grow continually, with him being reviled due to his omnipaths constantly monitoring the thoughts of the Arakko populace, and imprisoning anyone that had rebellious thoughts. Of course, it wouldn't help that Tarn was in charge of the torture within these prisons. He would even find his way to a seat in the Arakko governing body, which was the Great Ring of Arakko, just as an insult to the Arakko mutants that had endured his tortures. But he would always be able to defend his seat despite the constant wave of attempts to remove him. Now, later on, during the Ten of Swords tournament, the Hellions team of Krakoa would go to Amenth, trying to take the Arakko sword-bearers' swords so that they would win by default. But this plan wouldn't work, and it would lead to the first confrontation between Tarn and the leader of the Hellions, Mister Sinister, who had truly come to Arakko to take and study the Arakko's genes. Tarn and his Locus Vile were able to take out 3 of the Hellions and Sinister, who actually was a clone, but this wasn't before the remaining Hellions were able to get away with the stolen genes. Now, after the end of the tournament, Arakko would be free from the Amenthi's control, and would eventually be moved to a newly terraformed Mars. But trouble would later begin to brew in Tarn's twisted mind after he brought up Sinister's treachery to the Great Ring, and they brushed it off, not giving him the green light to attack Sinister and Krakoa. But of course, Tarn would go back on his word, and still seek out a battle with Sinister, with him discovering that Sinister had created a hybrid between the two of them, which gave that Sinister access to some of Tarn's unique powers. But this feud would be cut short when Tarn was advised that one of his most dangerous creations, named Amino Fetus, had actually fed, which caused it to grow to its next potentially universe-ending stage. So he had to go take care of that problem using a black hole. But when Tarn got back to Mars, the Great Ring of Arakko would hold a meeting to discuss the consequences he would face for breaking his word. And although the clone that Sinister had made from his DNA was destroyed, Tarn's hard nature and high-mindedness would still make him proclaim that he would not leave Krakoa alone until he was satisfied, which in turn caused a major problem with the new leader of the Great Ring, Storm. She immediately challenged him to a duel in the Circle Perilous, but unfortunately Tarn's abilities were too overwhelming, and he would disable her by removing her powers and mutating her appearance. Yet, despite this seeming defeat, Storm would end up getting close enough to him to pierce Tarn's chest with a dagger, threatening to run him through and kill him if he didn't surrender. Tarn would decide to yield and would return Storm's abilities and appearance. But of course, this conflict would brew even more resistance to Tarn being in the Great Ring, with the powerful mutant named Vulcan being brought in to challenge him for his seat. Interestingly, the two's powers would negate each other, but Tarn would be able to physically get the upper hand and take Vulcan down. However, before Tarn could even leave the arena, he would be challenged again by Magneto. And the mutant named Sunspot would trick Iska the Unbeaten into betting against her friend Tarn, which meant that her ability to never lose would guarantee Tarn's defeat. So when Magneto would use the clever tactic of using his helmet to block Tarn's psychokinetic powers, the uncaring hybrid would be doomed to the brutal death of having his skull crushed by Magneto's helmet. Now, for his powers and abilities, and his influence on the Marvel Universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give Tarn the Uncaring a rating of 8, which is an unforgettable rating. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join the new Sage.